All right. Well, again, thank you all for being here. I wanted to take a moment and introduce you to Robert Phillips. Robert is one of our partners from Presidio. Presidio is the company that is helping us with our migration, and we are thrilled to have him. He's done an amazing job, as I mentioned this week, working with our end users for our migration, and now he's going to be helping us today with our Mac users. So Robert, go ahead and take over.
Thanks, Holly. And again, everyone, I apologize for my tardiness. Sometimes technology doesn't always agree with you, right? And it's always usually at the worst timing. So we've been conducting these trainings for the staff this week. I think it's gone really well. We've had great turnout. I've been doing this Microsoft migration type work for over 20 years now. Been with Presidio for 6. So, hopefully there's nothing that I can't answer. I will say I'm kind of a new Mac user. I've come from the Windows world, but have since recently switched over. And, sometimes I find myself fumbling through things, trying to figure out what it is I'm trying to do. So at least for this purpose of this training, we should be able to get you started with the various things that we're looking to roll out, SharePoint being one of them, which is all the corporate file storage, OneDrive, which is all your G drive and your personal type storage is being moved over. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with both Teams, give just a quick overview of Teams so you can see how that works. And then finally, the Outlook training as well. So if there's any questions along the way, please post them in the chat. We make this very collaborative. It's structured, but we want to make sure that we answer any of the questions that you may have as well. So by all means, feel free to paste things in the chat window as we move through this. Okay, looks like we got a nice audience here. I'm just going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see that. Oh, hang on. Zoom is asking me to set my preferences to share. Give me 1 second.
Then it's going to say you got to start Zoom over again.
Probably. Yep, quit and reopen.
We'll be here.
We'll be here. All right, I will be right back, I promise.
Just to let everyone know what we're doing as well as we're capturing any of the questions. So if you want to put them in the chat, I'll be able to copy and paste them and then also capture the answers so that we can share them with everyone. And Robert's back. He was.
Okay, let's try this again.
Welcome back.
Thank you. All right, let me know when everybody can see my screen. Thumbs up, Polly. All right, perfect, great. And we're off and running here. Let me just close down some of these extra windows that I have open. Okay, so, this may look very familiar. Hopefully this looks very familiar to you as a Mac user. I know it's quite a bit different than what we see typically in Windows. Here we go here. So just restructuring some of my screen around here. My apologies. All right, so first thing we're going to do is start out with the cloud-based storage that's being migrated over. So I'm going to start a browser, whether you use Safari or Google Chrome, it should work exactly the same. For the purpose of the training here, we'll just use the Google Chrome client, as I'm sure you're used to using that in one as well. I'm going to start, I've got some favorites set up here, but I just want to walk through what they look like. The IT team has set up a application portal, and you may be familiar with this, called myapps.microsoft.com. That's basically where your starting point will be. If you want to get to any of the applications within the corporate intranet, you can see there's some e-training libraries. Your G Suite email will still be here, and any of the files that you have. So you'll be able to go back and see your history. There's some other applications in here. Looks like a learning management system, ServiceNow for help desk support. So everything basically that you need to get started will be here in the My Apps folder. And this provides you with providing one username and password. Once you do that once, all your applications are at your fingertips without having to re-enter that password over and over again. Okay. If I look at the upper left-hand corner here, I'll see this little 9 dots basically, and it says App Launcher when I hover over that. If I click that App Launcher, this is how I get access to all of my Office applications, my new Microsoft applications. You can see I got Outlook here, my OneDrive, which is my personal storage, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, Teams, Yammer, Power Automate, and To Do. So if you don't see something here that you're familiar with using before and you want to look at that, it's probably under this All Apps. If you select that, you'll see Delve is in here. There's some other things like maybe Visio you have access to. There's a digital whiteboard thing, Sway if you're looking for certain videos or streams, things like that. So we'll start out with SharePoint. That's the first thing that we want to walk through and show you here. So I'm going to click the SharePoint icon. And that is going to open up all my SharePoint sites that I've been in before here. My frequently sites that I visited, I've favorited a few here during our training to make it easier to show. Potentially when you come in, you're going to see like this, potentially this home screen here, where it's going to show you the CareMedics shared drives and SharePoint folder mapping. Let's just look at the shared drives here for a minute. We'll go there first. And I'm just going to make the screen a little bit bigger here. So this represents all the corporate folder structure and all the files that are shared out with all of you. I know for a fact that my training account only has access to one test folder that IT provided me. So if I was to click into any of these, maybe I want to go into the finance folder, I should get a prompt right away that says you don't have access to this site. You need permission to access this. So if this is something that you think you should access and it's not letting you in, you basically can just, type a note here. I work for such and the finance group, and they can, on the back end, the admins can do what they need to provide you access or basically deny you based on what your access means. But if you get this prompt, don't panic. That's exactly what this is. For most of the things that you access, when you click in them, like this ITEUS here that I know I have access to, this is the behavior that you'll see. So it'll bring me to the home ITEUS, okay, right to the documents that are in this folder and, or in this repository. And I can see that, these 2 test folders are ones that I know I have access to. If you want to synchronize these to your MacBook or Mac desktop, you can easily click the sync button right here. And that will give you a prompt. Do you want to allow SharePoint to share these on your drive or your Finder? I've already done this, so I'll just close this down. It says it's syncing the files. If I open up my Finder app in my Mac, I can see right here this CareMedics LLC location. This is any of the SharePoint folders that I have access to. So in particular for this one, I have access to the EUS documents folder. If I double click on that, there's my test folder that I'm in now. Okay, and if I open the test folder out here on my browser, I'll see the same two files that are in here as well. Okay, makes sense. We'll drive down in here so we can, there's the two documents I have here that I'm looking at in the browser. And if I bring my Finder app back up, I see those same two documents here as well. I'm just going to change the view here to a list so that it looks similar to what we see on the other screen. Okay. So basically this is a starting point. If you've got some folders that you use quite a bit and you want to sync them up, to your local machine so that it's easier for you to find them, you're using the Finder app, which you're probably more familiar with using, versus going out to a browser. This is the way to do that. So, the synchronization button works on any of these once you're in here. And once you do the sync, you'll see those documents show up here under the CareMedics LLC icon. So some of the options that you have with these, if you want to share documents out to other users, if I hover over this button right here, I can see that it says share this selected item with other people. If I click that, I'm going to get a Windows prompt here, or a window that prompts me to share this. I can simply create an email that's going to share this here on the fly. I know I've worked with Holly, so as soon as I start typing in here, maybe I want to also send this to Vivian. As soon as I start typing her name, she pops up in my window here. I can type a message. I'm sharing. Okay, and that's really that simple. They're going to get an email that says they have a link to this, that I'm sharing this document with them. Then they have the ability to open that, and it would show up in their file repository as well. If for whatever reason you just want to copy a link to this, and we'll get into this a little bit more when we start going through Teams, or even your Outlook client, you have the ability to just copy a link to the file itself, and you can paste that link into any of the applications. You'll see it's quite a long link when you actually copy it here. But once you paste it into whatever application, it will actually shorten it and only show the name of the file. Underneath here, you'll notice that it's telling me people in the CareMedics LLC with this link can edit. I can easily come in here and say, man, maybe I just want them to read this and not edit it. I can uncheck edit. Maybe I don't want them to be able to download a copy of this on their own, so I can block any kind of download as well. So maybe this is sensitive information or something that I want to really take good care that they can only read this information. Okay, for now, I'll just apply those back. Some of the other things you can see here, I can actually share this with other people outside the organization if I want. Anybody with the link can access it. It looks like IT or the information technology department has blocked me from doing that. So it's more one of the security features that we can turn on. And then you can see people that already have existing access, I can apply to that as well. So that's how you share a copy. Any file, you can do that, any folder. So if I wanted to share this whole folder here, I could do that as well. Same thing as doing it with a document. Okay. I'm just going to pop open the chat here. All right, great. So in the next item over here is I'm just going to go back into this folder here, is the 3 dots here. This represents all the things that you can do with this file. So if I'm in the web, if I'm in Finder, basically it's the same as doing, I think it's a right click. Let me just open that up. So if I do a right click in Finder, you'll see that the 2 menus tend to match each other. Open with, I can specify I want to open this because it's a Word file. I can use Microsoft Word. I can just use a text editor. I can move this to trash. I can move it to trash over there. I can get info on the document, rename it, duplicate it. Some of the actions that we want to demonstrate here, again, there's my share if I want to share it from my Finder app, similar to what I did on the browser. Version history is a great one. So as we step into the different training features here within Teams and things like that, we'll show you how co-authoring works within the document. That co-authoring is going to save other users' changes. you have the ability to, as the owner of that document or as somebody that shares that document, to control the version history. And if I open that up, I'll see that this document has been modified a couple times in the past couple of days. Maybe the modifications that this user made mess something up in my document. I can simply go back to the older version, click on the three dots here, and I can restore that version to my document. So now that becomes my most current version. Or maybe I know that this is an older version. I know the new version that I have is where we want to work from here. I can actually go in and I can actually even delete this older version. And now this becomes my only version of the document. Okay. Any questions on any of the SharePoint documents, how to share them, how to look at version history? I can look at details of the document here as well. And if I look
We
at
did have a sync question.
a sync question, okay.
Yeah, will any changes made to locally synced folders auto sync back up to SharePoint?
Let me see here. I don't see that message. Okay, can you read that again?
Yes, hang on just a moment. It came to me. I'm sorry. It says,
No
will
problem.
any changes made to locally synced folders
Yep.
auto sync back up to SharePoint?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, absolutely. Both directions. So whether I make changes out here, you know, if I don't have my Mac in front of me, but I have access to a browser, I'm editing this document in the browser. As soon as I make a change, it's going to sync it automatically. So the next time you get into your Mac and you open up Finder, it'll have those changes. Likewise, if I sync it here, or if I open it up here and I put something in here, let's just say this test text, I'm going to open this up, bring this over into the desktop. Maybe this is an address file or something. All right, so I'm just going to save this here. And actually, when I'm working with anything in my OneDrive, it's doing an automatic save as I do it, or SharePoint. So if I close this down, you'll see the icon here on the Finder desktop change from cloud to this little circle with the lines on it. What that designates is that it is actually performing an update in the background while you work. So the other thing these do is if a file has a cloud picture of a cloud only, it means you haven't opened it up on your desktop or locally yet. Once you do that, it'll go from being cloud only to actually a green check mark. Like, see, the text one just changed. That means it's synced up. And now, because I've opened this before, I've got an offline copy of it as well. That's what the green check mark means. Okay. And if I come back up here and I take a look at this file, I should see all my changes. Okay, there's the changes that I added to it, synced it back up to the cloud as well. You're welcome, Karen.
I think one more thing you might want to note on it, and as opposed to just restoring like an older copy or deleting your other one, you can also download a copy so you can keep your, because you had the second option down was download, where you can download the older version so you could keep both of them, because you might want to get data out of a version which is out of date, so you can maybe copy those changes and then put it in the new version. So it's actually another option you can do with that as well.
Yep, no, that's great. Great point. Yeah, so, you know, if you want to, you know, create a copy of the old one, maybe you want to keep that on hand or something. It's real easy to do that. Any copies of these, right? So if this is maybe a template or something that I don't really want to mess up, you know, I can download a copy of that and rename it, work from a different copy of it, whatever I need to do, you know, to make changes on that without having to mess up any of the new stuff.
Yeah, and there's a download under version history as well. When you click it, you'll have download under there, so you can download the old one and save that old one as well.
This one here, right? Yeah. There,
so,
and you can see even just clicking on it, it just downloaded a copy of it.
Perfect.
And there it is. So that shows up in my downloads versus, you know, anywhere else, which is tied to my local Mac desktop.
And Robert, the question in chat from
Yep.
Karen, I'm not sure if that is a you question or a Robert M question.
So I've been using a personal license for Office on my Mac. In prep for our migration, I thought I'd make sure I was upgraded to the latest. Unfortunately, it wiped out my personal, and now my MS apps all say I have no license. Okay. How do I make sure I have access? So the best way to do this is install the corporate version of this. When you do that, it's going to give you a licensed copy of that. To get your personal things back, all you need to do is add the Office account that you have, the personal one. And once you do that, you'll have 2 accounts on your machine, and you'll be able to toggle between those and, even open up like OneDrive or anything like that that you've used on the personal version. It just has to have the 2 accounts added to it for you to be able to use that.
So that means though I have to have had stored my personal license somewhere other than inside the software, right?
Well, it'll be stored in the cloud automatically. So it sounds like you had like maybe an outlook.com address and you had a personal Office version of, was it a localized version of MS Office or was it a cloud version? Do you know?
It was local.
Local. Okay.
But I guess related to getting the Caramatics version, that's really just a ticket, just a help desk ticket. And then my team can help you with that, getting a.
Yeah, and you shouldn't lose any of the
other-
local things that are on there.
The other thing is, you're going to want to split apart all your personal stuff because over time, you're not going to want any of that on the work computer. And if you're using a personal computer, then just put in a request to get a Caramatics one.
So is Mac, this was maybe another question because when I joined, I was told I could use Mac, but I had to bring my own and that it wouldn't get to corporate support. So I've been using my personal Mac with my personal like MS Office software. I'd be very happy to have a Mac.
Yeah, no, we'll help you out, KT. We can talk outside of this. So.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Eli.
Thank you, Kate, Karen. Thank you, Eli. Okay, so basically we just walked through what the SharePoint sites look like and the folders and files. There's also another folder that IT created to help you with the mapping piece of this. So if I come back up to my home button in SharePoint and I click on SharePoint folder mapping, there's actually an Excel spreadsheet file or a spreadsheet file that contains all the old mapping names, who the owners were and what they look like now in SharePoint. And that's really basically there to, let me just see if I can maximize this here on my screen. There we go. So if I scroll all the way over to the left here, you'll see that these are the old drive names within Google or G Drive, who the owner was, and now they've changed over in SharePoint. But if you hover over any of these, you can easily click and it'll try to open this up. Again, I need to have permission, obviously, to do that. But you should be able to access anything that you're looking for here. If you get stuck and you're trying to find something that you had in the past and you're not sure where it is in SharePoint. Is there anything else in SharePoint, Robert, now that I have you on here that they need to know, or does that cover pretty much everything right now in SharePoint?
Yeah, it does. So right now, related to SharePoint can do many more things, but for us, we're just using the document repository right now. And then we'll look at adding additional things later. But yep, you're good.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So the next piece to show you is around OneDrive. And again, I'm going to click that same 9 dots app launcher here in the upper left-hand corner. And I'm going to open or select my OneDrive. So what OneDrive is all your personal documents. So anything that you had in, for instance, your My Documents or your Documents folder, maybe you had a Pictures folder, or you had a desktop folder, things like that. Any of those are going to be migrated over, and you'll see them here. So as I'm looking at this here, let me just close this window down. These are all my personal files and folders that I've used for all the training this week. If I want to sync this, again, it's the same thing, same button here, sync. That will synchronize all my files down to my Finder app, my desktop. And let me just show you where that shows up. Okay. Here's Finder. Oh, it's because I have this maximized. Hang on 1 second. Gotta get used to the differences here. All right, so if I bring my Finder app up again. There it is on the other screen. Now, if I look at this here, I'll see that SharePoint is here. These are all my CareMedics files, but here's my OneDrive right here, just above that. Okay, and when I select that, I should see that this looks very similar to what I see here out on the web or on the cloud. Okay. Again, the same type of functionality that you had in SharePoint, the look and feel of it is all the same. If I want to share a folder, call my clients folder here, I just click that share button. I get the exact same prompt. Everything's exactly the same way as I did it before. I can copy a link to that if I need to. I can revoke access. Let me just go into, see if there's anything in Thursday group. Here we go. As far as files and things like that that are in here, I can do the same thing, click my 3 dots. I've got the same options that I had in SharePoint. I can open this in a browser. I can open it in an app. I don't think I have Visio on my desktop, so I'm just going to open this one in the app online. And you can see it'll open it right up for me, whether it's in the browser or in the application if I have it installed. Some of the other things, I can do a preview, I can share from here. Again, multiple ways to do all this stuff. I can share here, I can share here, I can share here. A lot of these things, download is here, I can download here. I can manage access to this. So if I pop this open, I can see who has access to this file. I can add people if I need to here directly. Some of the other things I can do, again, I can download a copy of it. Delete, move to another folder. I have the ability even to take these here and just drag them to another folder. So maybe I want to put this in my afternoon session folder. Just drag it there and it'll say moved it over. It's disappeared. And now if I go in here, I should see my drawing file in here. Okay, same thing here with version history. I can get any of the changes here I've made just by clicking on it. If I come back to my OneDrive CareMedics folder here in Finder, same thing here. I can do Thursday group, afternoon session. There's my drawing there. I can right click on that drawing and here's all my options that I have here to do with it as well, including version history, view it online. Again, like I said before, let me just go back to a doc here. Open the training presentation. So the syllabus doc here, if I open this up, you can see it's cloud only over here in the icon. It's really small, but I actually probably can increase the size of this. There we go. So again, these are ones that I have not opened before, so they're technically not on my Mac desktop. If I double click any of these and open them up, you'll see that it immediately changes to a green checkbox. That's telling me that there's a local copy now synced up on my desktop. Okay. Anything that's got a little person at the bottom of the cloud designates that I've shared this file already with people, and I can go in and I can look at where is it? Get info. And I can see who's it shared to, things like that in here. Right here, sharing and permissions. So this one's been shared to my Robert Phillips, a DL call staff. Everyone basically has read and write access to it. Okay, any questions on OneDrive personal storage? Everybody understand the difference between what's in SharePoint now and versus what's in OneDrive? No questions? Okay. Pretty easy to find. Again, the next thing that we'll do is we'll open up the Teams client, and what I'll do is I'll open it from the app here in the cloud, so you can see if you're on a browser what it looks like. And then I'm also going to open it up on my desktop, which I have over here. I'm just going to bring it over here. As you can see, the desktop's opening a lot quicker than the cloud version of it is. I've also, had the ability, somebody asked in one of the earlier classes, like, how can we make some of these URLs just quick access? I've literally created favorites to all these. I can have them open all these tabs up by default in my browser if I want, so that it it's a lot easier for me to access these when I turn it on. Okay. So we're going to just start out with the activity feed here, and I'm going to bring up this one as well. I'm just going to minimize the desktop so it doesn't, or the browser version, so it doesn't get too confusing. And we'll work from your Mac desktop here. So as I look across the top of the screen here, I've got some arrows that I can move back and forth between things. I've got a search icon here, or search functionality. This is great. Everything is indexable. So if I want to search on things that maybe Robert and I collaborated on, I can start typing his name. It'll pull up his name in my directory, and it should bring me right to any chats or the chat that I have going directly with him. So I can see that right away. This list can tend to get pretty long and have a long scroll bar. So the search is really nice to be able to find things. Maybe I want to search for an Outlook training document that I sent out. I know I sent it out. I just didn't know where I put it or when. Actually, it was 2019, I think it was called. So if I put it in quotes, it requires it to find both of those keywords in my search. Okay, so you'll see there, it found my file. This is how it found it. It basically contained both of those keywords. If I was to not put the quotations there and just do Outlook 2019 without quotes, it's going to find everything that has Outlook and 2019 in it. Okay, so you can see the difference here. It's now showing things that are Outlook and 2019. So the search is great. It's got a lot of different things in it. I don't know if I just check and see if, yeah, okay. So I was just trying to see if what other documents I had in here that I could show you. But basically, if I go backwards now, it'll bring back the other searches that I did, and I can scroll all the way back, or I can just click back on my activity over here on the left, and it brings me right back to where I was. So that's the search functionality. If I keep coming across the top here, upper top right, I see 3 little dots again. Those are all my settings for Teams. Okay, so I can come in here, I can click settings. And these are just some of the general things that we can do. We can make a dark background versus the white. You can see how it immediately changed it depending on what you prefer, or your eyes. I can change the size of text. I can make it more compact. I can leave it comfy the way it is now. I can auto start this whenever I start my Mac, which is a nice feature to have. If I close down Teams, I can say I want to keep it running in the background. That way, if people ping me or anything, I'll get those notifications. Whenever I open a new chat, I can put it in the main window or a new window. My languages are in here. I could schedule my out of office from here. We're gonna show that in Outlook. I think it's probably a better place to do that, but just know that you can do that in here as well. If I come over to the left and just walk down some of these other settings, these are my accounts that I have. As you can see, Karen, I could add a personal account here as well if I have a personal Teams account. Privacy, notifications. Again, you'll see things pop up here as we're working. I've got notifications turned on. And it'll show a message preview as it does that. It might play a sound for me if I want to do that. I can really customize it and say, maybe I want to get notified of meetings and calls, but I don't want chats or mentions. I can shut those off. My devices, basically, I've got my audio devices set up so I can do conferencing here. If I had multiple Bluetooth devices, I could set them up here, the microphone and the speaker. I can make a test call if I want. I don't think any of these are going to work because I'm on a Zoom call. I've got my camera set up here. If I have multiple cameras, I can pick those and set those up as well. So those are just some of the settings that you can do within Teams. Now, if I look at the last icon over here, this is my account icon. If I click on that, it's going to give me a set of options as well. I have the ability, like it shows that I'm in a meeting now, but maybe I wanted to make myself available. I could do that, or maybe if I stepped away for lunch, I could do that. A really neat feature is this do not disturb. If I select that and I click it on, you'll notice before that I think Holly basically sent me a text before. If I come out of here now and I go back to my Google Chrome, and maybe I want to go back to SharePoint, Holly, go ahead and just send me another text so I can show how it looks basically if I'm working or I'm presenting to somebody and I don't want the messages to pop up or be disturbed, you'll notice that it just shows a little red number in the bottom of the screen, but I didn't get any notifications. It didn't jump up in front of me so that, you know, in case I'm presenting or anything like that, you know, I may not want to be disturbed. So now I can come back in here. Do not disturb test came through. I'll give her a little thumbs up on that. Whoops. Thank you for that. And now I'll come back up here to the top left and we'll shut that off. I'll go into available mode. And then the other thing that you can do in here as well is you can set a custom status message. You know, and I can have these separately. If I wanted a separate one for Holly, I can give her a message. I can do a standard message for everybody else. Okay. So there's all kinds of different things I can do with setting messages and things like that to people when they reach out to me. Okay, will we keep using Zoom for conference calls? Yes, there is. You have the option of, or it looks like Robert and Holly both answered this already, but I'll just restate it. You have the options of either using Zoom as you've been using. You'll see a plugin for that in Outlook, as well as Teams. It'll show up over here on the left-hand side, or you can use Teams meetings to do that as well. Okay. So basically, we've showed the top navigation here, or the top program window. Along the left-hand side over here, you can see that these are basically all my different feeds. So as people mention me or send something to me, I get those in my activity feed. If I click on the chat window here, I can see these are all the chat, active chats that I have going on. It's got a date and a time. This one's from Holly. This is from Holly and Sharon together. If I wanted to add somebody to a chat, so maybe you know, I'm chatting with Robert and I want to add Jim to that chat message too, I can come all the way over here to the right hand side and I see a little thing that says people with a plus. I can actually come in here and I can set up Jim's, start typing Jim's name and it will pop up here. And I can add him to the chat as well. So now you'll notice it's changed. I'm chatting both with Jim and Robert. From here, I can do a shortcut. I can do a video call. I can do a audio call if I have the devices set up. I can do a screen share. Maybe I don't want to, maybe I just want to text with them and show my screen. I can do that from here as well. So these are all the different things that you can do within an active chat. Okay, let's come back here to Holly. Some of the things some of the other things you can do here, you can create what's called group chats or group team room meetings. We've been doing a few of these, so what I'll do is show you how to do one of those. So there we go. We got Robert replied to me. If I go just scroll over here where the chat is and I see this little square with the pencil on it, it says new chat. I'm going to click on that. And basically I can either enter someone's name. So if I know who I want to chat with, I can start typing their name here and it'll pull them up. Maybe I want to create a group here. So I'm going to click the down arrow over here to expand it. I'm going to give it a group name. We're going to call this Thursday Mac Training Group. Okay. And then I'll add a few folks to it. So we'll add Robert, Holly, Vivian, Sharon. I don't know if Melissa's on or not, but I'll add Melissa. And I'll add Kendall. So these are my test users here. And as soon as I start typing in this, okay, they'll all get notifications. Everybody at once will be added to the chat room. So you can see I've added X amount of people. It shows me everybody that's added. I've changed the name of the chat to this. And now everybody should be able to see that my chat that I have here. So I've got a new chat over here. It looks like Robert sent me a GIF file. Thursday is Friday Eve. I love it. So all kinds of different things you can do in the chat windows here. Now my Thursday group is sending me things. Thanks for the ad. Again, if I come down to the bottom, I've got all kinds of options. I can change my font here. I can set delivery options. I can attach files, which we're going to get into here in a second. Maybe if I just want to attach an icon, I can do that. I can search all the different icons that I have access to here. As you can see, the GIF files are kind of funny. Maybe I can say coffee time. So it's really kind of wide open. It's meant to be more free format for people and fun. But the purpose of this group, right, was to share one of the files and have us collaborate on it together. So I'm going to click the file, the paperclip here. I can either upload something locally from my computer, or I can select my OneDrive, and it will pop open the list of all my OneDrive folders and files. We are going to share a document that we've been making some changes to. It's the training syllabus here, so I'll share that to the group. And then I'll paste it or post it into the chat window. You can see that I can see who's got access to it here. I think everybody should have editor access, and I'm just going to open this up in my Word desktop app. So if I pop open Word here, it's still trying to open. Here it is here. Okay. Give me 1 second here. There we go. I think this is the one. No. Huh. Let me try to open this one more time here. There we go. Takes a minute. So now that I have the document open, while I'm in here, I can see if anybody joins. Hopefully one of the folks in the group chat will join here, so I can show you what that looks like. There we go. So we've got some comments in here. Holly just jumped into the document. I can actually, it'll color code everybody that's in here, and I can see exactly what they're doing. So there's a new comment right here from Holly. If she makes any changes, so I can see right here that she's working on this section here. Okay, so this is called co-authoring. Any document that's shared in SharePoint or you share in OneDrive, if multiple people are editing it at the same time, you can see what those changes are. You can see the different comments that people are having. It just really allows you to co-author the documents as you work. And again, all this is being saved on the fly as it's happening, and it's also being tracked in the version history. So I'll be able to see everything in the version history on this as well. Continue, here we go. All right, no, not sure why I got those extra prompts, but I think it's something to do with security access on the local machine here. Continue, there we go. Any questions on co-authoring, sharing files in SharePoint, OneDrive? Just gonna check the chat real quick here. Looks like we're in good shape. All right, so continuing down, once this Word document opens here, I don't know why it's taking so long. I'm just gonna close it down here. So let me come back to my chat screen. There we go. Any questions on chatting in the screen or anything? As we look at the left-hand nav bar over here on the then this side here, the next icon that I can select is Teams. These are structured teams. Again, right now they're being rolled out to IT only. They really are going to need some governance wrapped around it because they create a lot of ancillary type things like distribution lists and security groups, things like that. What we tend to see if these are just kind of left in the open for anyone to create, it tends to get a little bit of a wild west. So I don't know, Robert, if you want to make any comments on that as to what the plan is to roll things like that out, but these are a little bit more structured. You're on mute, sorry.
So yeah, teams will, they'll be set up through an IT request through a help desk request, just because you can get really out of hand. And, you know, and one of the things is there's like for the business, they've completely built out their SharePoint structure. And if you start setting up your own teams, now you're storing files in multiple different places. And so we're going to slowly implement it, probably working with Ann Quinlan's team first.
Okay. And Karen just said they use Google Spaces a lot for project-based collaboration. Will any of that be migrated over?
No, it will not
Do a
be.
team? Okay. I mean, it could be set up in a team structure, but it won't be migrated over.
Yeah, and so it's similar to it's just like the chat. You can make a group, you know, just add a person or a group.
You name a chat, Robert?
Yes, you can name the chat.
Yep.
Okay, so like we can do, because like right now we've got a cross-functional group between development and product. You know, there's a bunch of us, like a US Retina project, PXT project, and
Yeah, so it doesn't have to just be the users' names. If you go to the right, I mean, if you want to show it real quick again, are you?
Yeah, so you can see in the group chat here, if I click rename here, I can give it any kind of name that I want. Even though it contains all the people that are in the project. So if I come over here to these 7 people, these are all the people that I've added to it. I can add more people if I need to. So I can really structure it. If I've shared different files, so if you're working with different project files and I just want to see the files that are attached to this group, I can click the Files tab here and it brings me right into all the files that have been shared. There's a lot of other things you can add here as well. If you're working in, let's say, a project like Microsoft Project or another project platform, or even if it's a cloud-based one, you can add a tab for that in here. We've shown in the past class how to, you know, do a digital whiteboard. Let's just say you want to collaborate in the chat with that. You have the ability to do that. You can add what's called OneNote files or note files so that you can share notes basically for a project, things like that. So it'll carry all the same things that you're used to. It may be just a little bit of a different look and feel as to how it presents itself.
Okay, yeah, that should work. I wasn't sure if you could name, like, it would be difficult to have them in just the employees' names, but no, that should work. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and the whiteboard's pretty neat. You know, it's pretty free format. You can type text in here. You can do pretty much anything, right? And it's trying to correct things as you do it. So, so it's just basically a digital whiteboard. Okay. Any other questions here? Questions around Teams? I think Robert answered all that. If I look at the next icon over here on the left, that is called Presidio, which is my company here. What that is, if you click on that and there's something that we don't cover here in our training or you'd like to know a little bit more about, this is a whole what's called computer-based training or e-training portal. It's going to make me sign into this. And things like, you know, if you've got questions about certain things that you either forgot in the training or maybe you're wondering how I do certain things in Teams, you can see there's all kinds of different things in here. Teams Essentials, there's 45 different lessons. Everything's a video type lesson, so it's really, you know, it displays in a video so you can kind of walk through it and test it on your own. Nothing is over maybe 7 minutes, I think is the longest video I've seen, but most of these are like a minute or 2 minutes each. You know, creating files, co-authoring files like what we just did. You'll see when I pop these on, it'll set the video up and it basically just walks you how to do that.
We're going to learn how to co-author a file within a channel.
Okay. These are available to everybody in the organization. We've made it available at no charge for a whole year. So this will be in the system for a whole year. And we can always renew it after that, but at least it gives you gives the teams a good start to do some training on their own if they need it. Okay, I see this. Yep, that one's been answered. All right, as I keep coming down, I see a shared drive icon here. Again, this is just another location or pointer to all your SharePoint files. So you can see us, these are all that list that we originally went over when we started the training here around the files that we have available to us. I'll click on calendar real quick. We're going to dive into that a little bit more in Outlook, but just know that your calendar is completely available in Teams. And really, if you start working a lot in Teams, it's really meant so that you don't have to jump out to other applications. I can set up a new meeting in here if I need to. I can do a meet now. And basically, I can meet with anybody, do an impromptu video call or an audio call here if I need to. I can share a link with a bunch of people if I want to meet now. You've got that ability. I can look at my calendar out in a few weeks here, so I can go as far out as I need to. I can bring it right back to today. Maybe I want to change the view. If I go all the way over here on the right-hand side, I see work week. I can change it to just today. I can change it to the whole 7-day week. So I've got some options here that I can do with the calendar. If I click on the files underneath that, that's your OneDrive folder. So all your cloud storage is here. Anything you've opened recently, anything you've downloaded recently, all my Teams files that have been shared with me will show up in here. And then I've got all my OneDrive storage as well. So if I click the OneDrive, I see here's all my folders, here's my groups. These are the documents that I was working with. So I have the ability to, do the same thing. I can upload them somewhere. I can sync it here, download, open it up in OneDrive. I can share it with somebody if I need to. So it's just really quick access areas to get to the different files and things like that that you have. So that's Teams. We've covered SharePoint, we've covered OneDrive. Now we've integrated those two things into Teams. Any questions? We're right about at the top of the hour, which is where we should be on this. The next hour or so is just going to be driving through Outlook and email, calendars, contacts, how to use OneDrive for attachments or SharePoint, things like that. That's going to be the next piece that we tackle here in a second. So I'm going to minimize this down here, which is going to bring me back to my my apps folder here. And once I get in here, I'm going to, let me just close a few of these down. I'm going to click the 9 little dots again, get my app launcher up, and I'm going to select Outlook. So again, if you're working from a browser, you have access to everything that you do on your desktop. Maybe you're traveling or something, or you're on vacation. Any browser you can get in here just by going to myapps.microsoft.com and signing in. So you'll see this is my email here. I'm going to also open this up on the desktop, and we'll work from that as well. It's a little bit easier to show things on the desktop. And the difference between the two, you'll see look and feel wise, it's very similar. But there are things that are available for the Mac desktop version of Outlook that are not available in the cloud version of it. Let's skip this WebEx sign in. And let me just move this to where the other one is so we can show the match. All right, so it's very similar. If I just bring this down here or slide this window over, you can see it's a very similar look and feel, slightly different. A little bit easier to work from the desktop client. So we'll bring that up here and maximize it on the screen. All right, so the first piece that we'll go through is just the overall program window itself, what that looks like. Again, you've got your simple close, minimize, maximize. I've got some quick buttons here. I can do a save of a file. I can print something across the top. There's this new feature that they're rolling out called the new Outlook. Basically, it's a more landscape, a slimmed down version of it. If you click the tick mark on it, you'll see it just transferred that over. It's actually, let me just minimize this one here. So now if I bring Outlook back up here, it's switching it over in the background. All right, so this actually looks even more similar to the cloud version of it, right? It's got less menu options here. They're kind of buried or sub menus underneath each thing. For me, it's not the greatest experience unless I know where everything is. So I'm just going to turn it off again. You'll see that it's switching it back here on the bottom of my screen. Once it comes back, it'll have a dot under it, and then I can open it up. And here it is, back to where we were. So that's the new Outlook. Again, the search is just to the right of that, and this works exactly the same as it does in Teams. So if I want to look for all my emails from Holly, I can type her name, and it'll bring up just the emails that she's sent me or the conversations that we've had. Maybe I'm looking for a document that I sent that I know I was going to meet in our office in Woburn. So I can type that up, and you can see it pulls up the only thing that it found me, and it highlights within the email wherever it found that word. All right. So for instance, this one was actually in the signature. So it'll search subject lines, tos, from, CC, BCC, the body of the email. If there's an attachment name, it'll search that as well. So very full featured index search, pretty much search anything you want within your email. The next menu down, you'll see says Home, Organize, and Tools. If I flip between these, you'll see this, what's called the ribbon bar here, changes. We'll start with the Tools menu, and we'll just kind of show a little bit about each thing. We could spend a whole day going through all the options, but some of the key things in here, accounts is all your email accounts. In case you have any others in here, they'll show up. For instance, this one here is just the training user. I can go in and change things like, or automatically put in my password, things like that within my accounts. The next thing over is my out of office message. So if I click that, again, if I'm traveling or I'm out on vacation, I can choose to send automatic replies. I've already plugged a few things in here. This one is going to reply to everybody within my organization. I've also got one for people outside the organization. Maybe I know I'm going to be gone from Monday of next week. Actually, let's do it today because I want it to turn on to, let's just say Monday of next week at 5 p.m. Okay. I can choose whether or not to send replies outside of the organization. Maybe I don't care to let people know outside what's going on. And so maybe I do. I can say all external senders are just my contacts. And when I turn this on or say, okay, you're going to notice a couple things happen. So if I come back to my home menu, might take a minute, but I should see a ribbon here that says I'm currently set. My out of office is currently set on. Let me just make sure I set it on. Yep. There we go. So normally I would see a ribbon right here that just says out of office is set on. I'm not seeing that now. So maybe my dates are off. Yeah, hold on. There we go. So I'm not sure why that's not working, but normally I'd see a yellow ribbon here that just states that I'm setting or I'm sending out of office messages. Let's just look at the browser version and see if that one's saying it, says it. And neither one are, so maybe I just take a look at it one more time. 6/9/22 to 6/13. Send responses. I don't know. It's weird. Typically, it would show right in the button up here, you know, that I'm sending out of office messages. So I don't know why that's not working, but we'll turn it off anyways. Say okay to that. Public folders, you don't really have to worry about. You guys don't have any of those. Import, export, nothing there. Basically, if you're traveling, let's say you're hopping on a plane, but you still want to work on email, you can click this online, offline button here, which will toggle it across. You'll see this little lightning bolt show up designated that I'm working offline. Now I can respond to emails, do all the things that I normally would do. They will just sit basically in my outbox. And I can turn this back online when I have internet, and it'll automatically send any of the messages that I was sending. Now, if you leave this online and you still work, it's going to function pretty much the same way. So either way, those things will sit in your outbox and they'll be sent up as soon as you get back online. Last thing over here is this little help button. I have the ability to do a search on help here whenever I need to, just by clicking that help button. So if there's anything that you're looking for in the software itself, you can click that button and do a search on, maybe it's focused inbox or something like that. Using over and out, interesting. That could be some of the problem. All right, so that's tools. If I click organize, we'll just work our way backwards. There's some things I can do around folders here. Some of these other pieces, the reading pane, I can have it over here on the right, or I can have it on the bottom. As you can see, that switched it over now. So all my preview messages are on the top, but my reading pane's on the bottom. I can turn it off if I don't like it. This just forces me to have to double click on messages in order to be able to open them in a new window and read them. So let's turn the reading pane back to the right. Arrange by, I can have my preview of my mails here arranged by all kinds of different things. Right now it's conversations. I could say date received. Okay, so this will sort it basically by the newest to the oldest. And I can also do the same thing I'm doing here just by clicking this down arrow. So I can basically sort it by who, and then all my Caleb shows, and Holly, then Kendall. So it's all alphabetical. I can toggle that Z to A to Z if I need to. Let's go back to the date received. So this will help me with my newest email first. Some other things I can do in here. I can show only unread emails. I can filter based on that. So maybe I want to come in at the end of the day and just want to show the unread emails here. Mention priority oldest groups. Mark all as read. Focused inbox versus other. So basically the focused inbox versus the other. Other is going to be maybe you signed up for a mailing list or something at a retail place. It's technically not marked as spam, but it will, instead of being moved to your focus inbox here, it'll be moved to your other inbox. So it'll show up there instead. Currently, I don't have anything in there, so it's not showing anything. If I look at my folder structure here across the left-hand side, I'll see that my different folders are here. Everything that you have in your Gmail will be migrated over along with all the subfolders and anything that's inside of them. So you won't lose any of that structure that you have today. It's telling me I have 7 unread emails in my mailbox. If I look here, those are the ones that are designated here in blue. So I can quickly go in and see what those are. I can basically see, I can move things around. So if I get an email maybe from Holly and I want to put it in my marketing folder, I can simply just hold it down. I can drag it to this add campaign, or I can right click on it and I have some ability in here to move things around as well. Or maybe I want to, make this unread. Now that I've read it, I want to follow up later. I can easily come in here and mark it as unread, and you can see it changes it to blue. And now I have eight messages up there that are unread. Conversations basically organizes your email based on conversations. So if I've got a bunch of these things that are, replies and things like that, as you can see, instead of having them all show up in my preview, I can lump them under one area so I can expand them if I need to, or I can just come in here and I can just respond to the last one, and I know I can just read the whole thread in here. Okay, I'll just pause for a minute there before we get into creating a new message. Any questions around the look and feel of the Outlook toolbar, what I can do to the different things within here?
I don't see anything in the chat.
Okay, great. So next we'll just jump into, a new email. So I'm going to create a new email. We'll walk through some of the different options that you have. I'm just going to expand this a little bit so we can see everything. Okay, so new email. You've got several different ways that you can address it. If I've typed with somebody or they're in my personal address book, I can just start typing their name and it will pop up. If I haven't typed with somebody, I can either click the CC or I can come up here to the address book. Where is the address book? Check names. Address book right here. So on the Mac, it's all the way over on the right. On the PC, you just click in the two fields. So if I click the CC address book here, it's going to bring up the corporate directory. And I can just start typing here, Thomas, and it'll show me everybody that either has Thomas for a first name or a last name. I'm going to pick Sharon and I'm going to include her in here. Whoops. So when I see Sharon here, I can just make her the BCC. Actually, I'll make Jim the BCC or Robert. I'm going to make Robert the BCC on my email. All right, so that's the easy way to populate people. I can actually bring up my personal contacts as well. Address book. So a bunch of different options as to how you address emails. Again, just click on any of the address books over here. If you've never talked with people, if you have, you just got to start typing their name. So I've conversed with Vivian before. I've conversed with Kendall. And then I can type a subject in here. Okay. When I get down into the body, it's a full text editor. Again, I can pick my fonts, sizes. I can do bullets if I need to. Tables, numbers, colors, everything that you can do in Word, you can do in Outlook as well. Pictures, I can insert links. I can insert pictures if I need to. I can insert a table. And then I can actually change the design of that table. Okay. And that's just it. Once you do that, it's a fully functional table. I can type, add anything I want. I can change colors, all kinds of different things in here. We just come down to here. As I keep coming across here, I've got some options. I can insert a file or attach a file. If I click that, it pops up my Finder app, and I can either pick something local on my desktop, right? I can actually go to my OneDrive and I can pick a document out of there and say choose, and it'll actually attach a copy of that. Okay, so it's right here. It's going to attach that as a copy. If I want to insert a copy of my OneDrive here, I can say choose. Should prompt me. Why is it not prompting me? So technically that's supposed to prompt, and it's a setting somewhere that I need to change. So let me just look at Outlook preferences for 1 second. Composing. Accounts, categories, bear with me 1 second here. Signatures, rules, joins, Well, I know I can do a link, which is going to also include a link to my OneDrive. You know, if I wanted to send out my training civilists here, you'll see that it can put it inside the body of the document, and now it's just a link to that document. So if I'm doing co-authoring and things like that, I have the ability to do that. Somewhere in here, there's a setting somewhere that allows you to prompt by default for this attached file so that it doesn't automatically attach that file. So let me just, it's driving me crazy. So let me just minimize this down here and go back to the settings, message. Forward as an attachment, tools, accounts. Huh. Anyways, I would have thought it would have been in Outlook preferences, but I'm not seeing it in here, so that's strange. All right, so I'll have to maybe put that in the FAQ, Holly. just so I don't spend too much time looking for it here. But you've seen in the other classes, whenever you insert a file, it prompts you, are you sure you want to input a copy of this, or would you rather send something from your shared folder? And we really want the practice of people sending things from their shared folder. So
yeah, mine is under settings attachments. Now, again, this is Mac, so I'm not sure if it's different, but mine is under settings and attachments.
yeah, I'm wondering, because it prompted me that I had an older version too. I have a feeling that maybe that's.
Go under view all Outlook settings, Robert, down the bottom, and see if
Thank
that
you.
changes it.
It does, yeah, that's, all right, now let me look.
And then I went under attachments, the third one down.
Yeah, that's strange, because so this is what I was looking for right here. Always share it copies was what I would expect it would have been turned on. It should have prompted me for that, which it didn't on the desktop. So let me just do a new message from here. And if I try to attach something here, browse cloud locations, and I pick this syllabus here. There we go. This is what I'm expecting to seeing on the desktop. Attach as a copy or attach as a OneDrive link, which is what I want, because I really want to save the space on the email servers and just send things throughout the organization as my OneDrive, so that people can still open them and edit them if they need to. And I can see all the changes and things like that as well. Okay, thank you for that. And again, I think it may be because there's a little bit older version of Outlook that's on my desktop here. And that could be why, even though it was downloaded from Office 365. So, all right, so we covered, let me just pop back into this new mail that we have. Actually, we'll go back to the one that we have open. This one. So we talked about inserting a link. Again, that will put it in the body versus up here in the attachments. We can do tables, pictures. Signatures is a great one. We've been teaching people how to do that. By default, it doesn't come with any signatures, so you'll want to edit your signatures your first time in. In here, you have the ability to create a new signature, and you can, as you can see, assign them to either a new message or a reply or a forward to a message. I tend to make things a little bit, I tend to make a full signature for any new messages. So I'll just call it full signature. And, for anything that's a reply, I will do something that's a little bit more compacted, right? So I'll maybe want to put my office address. Or maybe my cell phone number in this one. Maybe even a LinkedIn. Okay, so I can basically control this. I can change the fonts. I can add a picture if I want. I can put my electronic business card in here if I need to. There's lots of different things that I can do in here. Okay, I'm going to save this. Click the little save button, and then I'll close it. And now you can see I've got a full signature in here. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say I want to use this on all my new messages. Okay, I'm going to create one more for replies. And maybe this one, I'm just not going to put any information in. I'm just going to place a thank you or regards in my user, and I will save this one. And then you can see I can now assign this one either my full or my reply, which I will. That's how you save the signatures. I'm going to close this down. And you'll notice it didn't put it in this mail that I had drafted already. But if I click the down arrow here, now I've got both my signatures in here. We'll put the full in here so you can see it. Okay. So I'm not going to send the email, but basically now I'm done. I can hit send. There's some other things I can do: high priority, low priority. I can do different settings for this. I can send it encrypted if I need to. I can use templates if I have them. I can include a poll if I need to. Lots of different options that I can do with the email. Let's see, if I want to request any kind of read receipt with this, I can do that. Request a delivery receipt, request a read receipt, and now, and actually I'll take a few of the folks out here because they may not know what I'm doing, but I'll send this to Sharon and Robert because I know they're on the call. And I should see once I get these delivered and once they read them, I'll get a delivery and a read receipt. So just to show you the signature, if I do a new email now, there's my signature. It automatically populates it based on the settings that I had back here. If I was to reply to an email, so Holly's requesting a read receipt from me. This is what they'll see on the other end. I can say, don't ever ask me about this again and send it, or I can be prompted each time. So I'll send the read request back to Holly. And you'll see that when I did my reply there, it just came up with my simplified signature. Okay. And now I'm seeing some of the read receipts. So I've got my read receipt from Robert, and I've got my testing attachments from Holly. One other thing to show you in here is called rules, and you're probably familiar with them with Gmail, but I can actually create different rules. Maybe I want to create a rule that holds all my read receipts. So I'm just going to call this read receipt. And I can basically say when the subject contains, I'm going to add one in here, call it read receipt. Okay, I'm going to take this one out. So when the subject contains read receipts, I'm going to automatically move it to a folder that I've already created called read receipts. Okay. It should have given me a list, but I'm just going to choose this one anyways. And once I enable that, it's going to prompt me and it's going to save that. And then it will run against anything that's in my email that already has that. So now if I come over here to read receipts, I can see that anything with the subject or read receipt has been moved into this folder. And anything going forward will automatically move into that folder. So that covers read receipts, that covers new email. Talked about the address book. Let's make sure that I'm following along our training here. Somebody asked how to link Zoom and Team accounts for video conferencing. So a couple ways to do that. It's typically a plugin that you have to install in here. So on the Mac user side, I got to get to my add-ins under Outlook preferences. Where's my add-ins? Robert, any idea where the add-in is for the?
Caleb, do you know on that? I'm not sure with the Macs.
I see I've got a share to Teams and OneNote here. I've also got my WebEx, so I know that it does work. You'll see an icon here at the top that will say something like Zoom versus Teams. I'm just right here, get add-ins. So if you click the get add-ins button and it's been shared with you within the, I'm just gonna, and then there's Microsoft has a bunch of them out there that you can just search on as well. Once this comes up, we'll just go find the Zoom one. So there's my Zoom for Outlook add-in right there. It's trying to log me in. So I'll just say get it now. And typically when these install, you have to reboot your Outlook client. So just know that once these are installed, it typically takes a reboot before you see it. Okay, so it's successfully added it to my account. It says that there's not one for my Outlook client. So I must have it really old, but I'm going to open it in the Outlook in the web. And I assume these will be dropped into your clients automatically for you. I won't speak for the IT team, but typically these things will show up in there automatically. So if I go to my calendar right now,
I know Caleb did something at the admin screen, so I know I've got I don't have a Mac, so it shows up on mine, but I don't know. Not sure if it's working on the Mac or if it's set up.
yeah, I'm checking to see. So if I invite in IT here, there it is right there. So yeah, you'll see a little icon, see the Zoom button here. Now it's probably not going to let me because I know I don't have a Zoom account with you guys, but if you have a Zoom account and you've signed into it, oops, just try it.
Yeah,
add a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, the good thing is Zoom, I think, gives you like a 40-minute meeting for free.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so you just have to sign in. I'll use my Presidio one just so I can show you what it looks like. There we go. So you can see it adds the Zoom to the body of the email. And now I can send this out to Holly and she'll see a link to my Zoom meeting in here. Teams works very similar. I don't see the add in here, but again, it'll be an icon at the top so you can do either Teams or Zoom or Teams. Is that good, Eli? Did that answer your question? A little bit of work.
It did. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so let's go back to the Outlook client here on the desktop and make sure there's any other ones. Okay, no other questions. So let me just walk down the list here, make sure we're covering everything. How are we doing on time? Good. Excuse me. So we've covered sending emails, the options that you have. I think we've covered replying to them, forwarding, things like that, rules, moving things around. If an email is considered junk, you can easily right click on it and say, this is a junk email. Whoop, that went really fast. If I mark something as junk, the next time I get something from that user, it'll automatically go to my junk email folder. I also have the ability to do it up here on the menu. I can block a sender so they can't even send me things. It'll automatically go to delete. So those are some of the ways that I can see that. I can filter my email here. So if I want to look at just my unread messages, it'll filter it just on the ones that are unread for me. Maybe ones that are certain date, high priority, maybe something that I've flagged in the past. So it's just showing me my messages that I've flagged. These are ones where if I set a flag on a message, let's just talk through that here real quick. So if I turn on a flag, let me just go back here to on. There we go. I don't want conversations. I want date received. All right, so I'm back to my new things. So maybe I want to follow up with Robert on this later. I can right click on it and I can set a flag. And maybe that's tomorrow I want to set that for. You'll see that turned on a flag. So now if I'm filtering, I should have a couple that are flagged here. Okay, so these are all the ones that I've flagged. Not only does this flag them in your email, but it also creates a task in your to-dos. So if I come down to the bottom here where my navigation is, and I select my all my to-dos that I have, here's the ones that I've flagged. There's the one from Holly. This is the one. Where's the one from Robert? Is right here. Okay, so it actually marks a to-do for me. If I look at this out on my browser client, it looks a little different. It's a blue check mark. And if I hover over that, that's my to-dos. It'll take a second here to open, but you'll see it looks exactly like the same list that we had on the client. So here's all my list of things that I need to do. There's the things I need to follow up on tomorrow. If I do follow up on that, I can come in here and just check that off, and you'll see it disappears from my list. And if I come back to my client over here, it'll disappear from this list as well. So that just shrunk. So that's task. I can mark things complete here. I can delete them off my task list, just a way to stay organized. Another navigation function here on the bottom before we get into calendaring is contacts. These are great if you have people that you work with. You want to make sure you keep their phone number. That way, when your Outlook client syncs to your phone, you can easily access their phone numbers, things like that. You can add other functionality in here. I can actually create groups in here, which it's not showing me my groups, but let's just see if I can figure out how to get that. Organize, categories, range, rules. Huh. Is there a group in here? So you can see all the different ways you can display this data. I do have some groups set up, so I'm not sure why it's not showing, but if I had distribution lists in here or groups, I could easily come in here and see those new items. Oh, strange. So this has got to be an older version of Outlook, because there's a lot of things missing that are normally here. Contacts, again, pretty straightforward. Double click on any of them will open them up so that you can edit those. Again, there's all kinds of different things that I can put in here. I can put, work numbers. Okay. And then, like I said, that will sync to my phone if I want. And now I have some quick access or easy access things to call people if I need to. If I click the organization tab, it'll show Holly where Holly is in the org chart. So who her manager is, who reports to Holly. I can get all those details on my contacts. And this does it for the corporate address book as well. So either place it does it. Let me just save that. I look at Jim. So somehow Jim doesn't have anybody in the address book. I think these things are starting to be populated now. In some classes, we've seen things. In other classes, we don't have the things in them, right, Robert?
Yeah, I think it was so just the people that were on the proof of concept. There's about 6 of us or so.
Okay.
That have a migration of calendars and contacts. No one else will get it until the final migration.
Perfect. All right. So for the calendar, I know we showed some things around calendaring. I'll open the desktop version and just kind of walk through that, but I'd like to show the browser version as well. So I navigated to my calendar icon here at the bottom. You'll see I've got a bunch of different things that I can see here. I tend to color code my meetings only because I want to know, and that's the categorization. You can edit that here and put any categories in here that you want, as many as you want. I can add more. And what that really does is allows me to see, okay, here's my week. I've got 6 training classes I have to do this week. I've got a kid's soccer game that's a personal thing on Friday that I'm going to. Maybe I've got an executive meeting here that I've marked in dark blue. We just created a draft meeting here, my Zoom meeting. Maybe I want to categorize that as something else. Let's just call it travel. We did travel time, partner meetings. Okay, so it gives me a real quick and easy way to come in here and see my calendar. I've got some options. I can go out into the future here. Okay, and this little diamond here always brings me back to today. See, when I hover over it, it says today. I can also click up here, brings me back to today. I can look at my whole month if I need to. And then I've got some options around shared calendars. So if I click open shared calendar, I can search for any person in the organization. I can select that, and it will, if they've allowed me to, it will open up their shared calendar. So there's Robert and it's basically going to overlay mine. So I can see he's much busier than I am. Okay, and I can take my calendar off and just see his if I want to look at what schedule looks like. Let me just take that off for a second. I can also give people access to my calendar. So I've done that for certain people. Right now, everybody by default can view titles and locations. I've allowed Holly to view everything. I can, I'm assuming some of you probably have some admins. We can allow people to, be an admin, or they can delegate on your behalf. They can edit your entire calendar. They can delegate and only, except for private events, they can only view those. So there's a lot of different options here that you can do. And when I add that person, it's going to just inform them that I've allowed them to delegate my calendar. Okay. So that's how you share your calendars, and you can see other team members' calendars, things like that. Again, I've got a WebEx here. I should have a Zoom and a Teams as well. Appointments, basically those are, personal type things, or maybe you have an appointment, but it's not really a meeting where you're going to invite other people to it. That's really what these are for. So if I have a doctor's appointment or something like that, I can put my address of my appointment. And this is handy because now once I'm working on this from my mobile client, like my phone, I have the ability to click on this link and it'll, open it up in Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever it is. So, I know how far it is to drive to this or whatever. I can set my time on these. I can make it an all-day event. And you'll notice that it grays out the actual time. So these are the different things that you can do. I can categorize it right from here as a private meeting, mark it private, and I will just save this and you'll see it go on my calendar for today. Let me just come back here and do work week. Okay, so there's my doctor's appointment that I just created. If I click meeting here, very similar to appointment, except now I can actually add folks. So if I just start typing in the 2, I can add, different people that I want to meet with. All right. I can give it a quick subject. And then I can say, location here. This is by default Teams. But if I expand this window, I should see my Zoom. Hopefully see my Zoom icon here, although I don't think it. So there's my Zoom meeting. I can simply add a Zoom meeting to this. Gonna make me sign in again. All right, so there you go. It's added my Zoom meeting to here. I'm just going to take this off and show you what if I want to add a Teams meeting to it, I can just click the Teams meeting icon up here. And it's dropped the location of the Teams meeting right here. Although that looks like, oh, it's got Zoom in here as well. So let me just take this off. Let me take them both off here. And I'll just re-add Teams one more time. There we go. So it'll put the Teams details into the message once I send it, is what it's saying. Now, if I want to go and look at Free Busy here, I can click the scheduling icon right here across the top, and it will show me everybody's calendar based on the meeting, right? So I'm saying 4 o'clock today, I can see pretty much everybody's busy. But if I scroll over, I can see tomorrow morning at 9:30, everybody's free. So I can easily move that around. I can go out into the future next week and see that. So it gives me a nice little way to look to make sure everybody's free when I select the meeting. I've got some other options up here, request responses, so I can make sure that people respond. I can allow them to propose a new time. I can allow them to forward the meeting. Lots of different things I can do here. I can add different time zones to the meeting. So, oops. There we go. Time zones. So if I wanted to do this in Pacific time, maybe this is a meeting with all the Oakland staff or something. I can change the time zone for that. I can send it encrypted if I need to. All kinds of different options here as far as sending meetings. Showed you the free busy time. Let's go back to this. Do I want to send this? I won't send this because I don't want to tie up their calendars too much. So I'm just going to discard this. Any questions with appointments or meetings? What the calendar looks like, how to get the address book out of it.
There was a couple in the chat.
Will calendars be default visible to others? By default, everybody is going to see this look right here. No, actually Holly shared more. So let me try. I think Robert has too. So
Yeah. So by default, when we go live, and I think this had something to do with us in the early migration. By default, people will just see free busy. You should have to share your calendar with them for them to see the details.
Yep. Yeah, because it's interesting. Like all the training we've done this week, all I've been able to see is busy or free or tentative, and now I'm actually seeing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
So interesting, but typically all you
Is it
see is
different for Macs? Robert, I wondered that same thing because again, you're right. All we saw was free and busy in all the other sessions.
Yeah, it potentially could be. It should be the same across all the platforms. So there's a potential that maybe something changed for the defaults setting on shared calendars. So you may want to take a look at it.
Yeah.
If so, how can certain meetings be marked private? Great question. So you'll see that whenever I create an appointment or a meeting, I have the ability to mark it private. So let me just do one to Holly here. And caps lock's on. I'll just send it for, actually, let me just schedule. We'll do 3 o'clock tomorrow. And then you can see over here, I can categorize this with my categories. But again, this doesn't mark it private. It just makes it so I can see it easy. But right next to it, there's an icon with a lock on it that says private. And if I hover, it says hide contents of this item from others. So if I click that on, and now if I send that, you'll see that once it comes up here. So there's my meeting, and you can see the little lock button at the bottom. Or maybe Holly, if you want to mark one of your meetings private, and then we can show that you've got a bunch of, maybe one of your lunch meetings or something mark private, or your mindfulness or something, and then I can show them how that looks.
Okay. We're having our typical afternoon storms here, so my system's a little weird, but yeah, it's going real slow, but I'll do my best.
Let me see if Robert has any that are marked private. Oh, there you go. So you can see if I look at Robert's as well. Oh, or was it Holly that I just saw the private one? Maybe it was Holly.
I didn't get a chance to mark anything yet.
Oh, but the one I send you is private, so that's good. So that'll show them. You can see I can see everything. She's allowed me to see everything in her meetings, but that one meeting that I mark private, this is all she sees, or all I see is private appointment. You can share full calendar details with only certain workers. So if you come back to the top here, and I'll just select my calendar. Lost my permissions for whatever reason. Huh. There's some real funky things going on. But if you click this calendar permissions here, that's where you can go in and set all the permissions for your calendar. And you can set specific people or coworkers to have full access to your calendar versus other ones. The color and the categories, I believe, are basically what I see only. Other people won't see them because they may have some other categorization within their calendar. and that gives them the ability to do that as well. So no, that's not visible to others, only to you, I believe. If somebody wants to look at my calendar, the training user calendar, maybe you can verify that for us. How are we doing on time? Oh, we got 15 minutes left here. So I think we've covered just about everything that we did in the other training sessions. Again, the Mac is a little bit of a different animal, so it was hard to kind of format how long this would go. Getting some of my pop-ups here. Any questions about anything that we may have covered or we didn't cover that you might have questions about regarding using the applications on a Mac? And feel free to come off mute too if you just want to ask questions to the group here. All right. Great.
So
Well,
far, so good.
appreciate it. It's been a busy week for us here. I think hopefully the training was well received and it's going to make people productive, right away. Some of the other tools that we've given them as well will help with that. Once everything gets migrated and launched, we'll help the team understand there's some adoption dashboards and things like that that we can use to show how much people are adopting the technology that we're giving them. So that will help us really kind of know how we did and measure up against that. So again, thanks to everyone for joining. If there's no other questions, I will turn it back over to Holly.
Well, thank you, Robert, and thank you all. So what we are going to do for you is we are going to provide a copy of this recording. We're also going to timestamp so I can tell you when we started. Robert started with OneDrive, when he started with Teams, and so on and so forth. Once we get all that done, we'll send this out to you so you'll have for reference. If you guys don't have any additional questions, you are all set to go. And I thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.